In this video, we're building an outbound AI sales agent for property developers.
And I just wanted to quickly ask a few questions to see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists.
This virtual assistant proactively calls and follows up with buyer leads, qualifies their intent and budget, identifies serious investors, and books those in for a scoping session with your sales team. If you're in real estate or a similar sales-driven environment, you know how opportunities fall through when follow-up is slow, inconsistent, or just doesn't happen at all. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to build an AI sales agent step by step, mapping out the conversation flow, setting up smart qualification criteria, and designing an overall sales system that calls every lead, filters out qualified from unqualified, and hands off those appropriate leads so your sales team member don't have to worry about the burden of talking with unqualified leads.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. What budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place?
Yeah, so we're looking at probably 1 to 2 million. And on top of that, we'll capture every single response and sync that with your CRM using N8N so your pipeline stays organized and no leads get left behind. As always, let's jump straight into a demo and then we'll walk through step by step how to build this yourself. Let's go ahead and submit our inquiry here.
Jonas, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Hi, Jonas. This is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, James. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm reaching out because we help clients with property investment opportunities. And I just wanted to quickly ask a few questions to see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. Do you have a quick minute now?
Yeah, I got a quick minute, man.
Great. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now?
Yeah, looking to buy soon, probably within the next month or so.
Got it. That's helpful to know. Is this for you to live in or more as an investment?
It'll be an investment property, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. What budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place?
Yeah, so we're looking at probably 1 to 2 million, and yeah, I got pre-approval. That's no worries.
That's excellent, Jonas. Thank you for sharing. If we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or a meeting with one of our advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come across your website, was just looking to get in contact with someone to jump on a call, perhaps. Yeah.
That's perfect. We can absolutely help with that. The next step is a quick preliminary scoping session, about 10 to 25 minutes, with one of our strategists to understand your situation in more detail and explore suitable opportunities. What day and time would usually work best for a quick call?
Let's do you have like next Wednesday, 10 a.m.?
Next Wednesday at 10 a.m. works perfectly. I'll lock that in for the preliminary scoping session with one of our strategists. They'll give you a call then to go over everything in detail. Just to confirm, next Wednesday, 10 a.m. for a 25-minute quick strategy call.
Yep.
Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds perfect, man. And what was your name again? Sorry.
It's James. Really appreciate your time today, Jonas. We're looking forward to chatting with you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
All right. Thanks, man. You have a good one. Okay, quickly before we jump into the build, we just want to explain briefly how this is all going to work. Now, this AI sales system is a 3-step process in essence. Firstly, this lead capture stage. And this happens on our website where we're capturing the intent of interested prospects, right? They'll submit their full name, their email address, phone number, the property they're interested in, a penthouse, residential, or both, and then a brief message. This submission is sent to our VAPI assistant. And the goal here is to qualify that lead, right? And how we're going to do that is by, of course, calling that lead with the number that they had submitted, but run them through some qualifying questions to determine whether they're our ideal customer or not? And then post call, we're going to go into this third and final step of the system, which is to have some lead insight. Of those leads that were called, what are qualified, what are unqualified, and some of the responses and things like that they had given during a call. So at a very high level, this is what we're building today. And we've already got our lead form or lead capture set up on our luxury property group profile. So this is a fake company that I had created, and it'll look something like this. So here we have a nice little spun up website here, our 2026 collection. And the main thing here is our lead form. So this will look very similar, and every single website, or well, almost every website has something of this nature. Their website, they'll have a contact us or inquire now, in which you can submit your details, including most importantly, the name here and the phone number. We'll submit that inquiry and that'll be sent off externally. And typically the response time to inquiries for a business is 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes weeks, I've seen. And this system is designed to contact this interested lead quite immediately here. So that at a high level is the system. And when we submit our inquiry here, we're going to get a call by a VAPI assistant, and then we're going to seed some observability into what happened during that call. So enough talking and enough system overview. Let's just jump straight into the build. Now, of course, we've built this out pre-hand, and we're just going to be leading with this. So what's important here is when we submit this inquiry, this is being submitted to a webhook or an endpoint on our N8N server. So if I jump over to our simple workflow here, we have an N8N workflow in which we have a webhook that these submissions, and you'd see I just submitted an inquiry there, these submissions are landing to. So if I jump over to my executions, what I had just done there has popped into my N8N workflow here, and I can copy this to editor, zoom out a bit here, and I'll see we had submitted my name, my number, and the property type where it interested. So what do we do from here? Well, we need to send this to a VAPI assistant or an assistant of qualifying nature, but we don't have one yet. So let's go ahead and build that out really quickly. So we'll jump over to something like VAPI here, a really great platform for building out these outbound style assistants. 11 Labs is great for inbound, VAPI more my style when it comes to outbound, where you need some of those granular settings and things like that. That'll really make your assistants quite believable, effective, and as low latency as possible, right? So we're going to jump over here into the assistants tab. We'll create a new assistant. Let's call this James. We'll do luxury property group, LPG. We'll start off with a blank template, and we'll create that assistant. So here, this is going to give us a blank canvas, and I might just jump across over here. This is going to give us a blank canvas on how we can start to build out this qualifying step of our AI sales system. And you'll see up here, model, voice, transcriber, tools, analysis, compliant, and advanced. A bunch of different components of our voice orchestration that we have a lot of control over and that we can start building now. Firstly, we're going to start off with the model. When it comes to the LLM or the brains of this AI sales agent, how do we want to configure this? We're going to leave the provider as OpenAI, and we're going to use GPT-4o cluster. But for reference here, we have a bunch of different models we have access to, as well as LLM types that we can plug and play here over on VAPI, a really great platform. Now we have our first message mode, assistant speak first, assistant waits for user, or assistant speaks first with model generated message. What do these mean? Assistant speaks first is when the user picks up that phone call, our assistant is going to say something immediately. Assistant waits for user. When the user picks up that phone call, we're going to wait for them to say something, and then we're going to generate our response. And assistant speaks first with model generated message. This is going to be similar to what we had up here, only we're not defining exactly what to say. Our LLM is going to come up with that. So for now, I'm going to leave this as assistant speaks first. The first message is going to be hi, open curly brace, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this in just a moment. Customer.name, close curly brace, comma, can you hear me? Maybe we'll say something like that. Question mark. Now, we're using customer.name as a dynamic variable here. And what we're going to do to be able to populate this field and actually say the customer's name that they had submitted on this website is within our N8N workflow, we're going to pass our body parameter name into our VAPI assistant externally. So when we make that call, it's going to have reference of this variable or this key type as customer.name. And that's really what we're going to use here. Just a bit of an explanation on that front. Now, the system prompt, this is really the instruction set or how our agent's meant to do the job it's been set out to do. Right now, there's nothing here. So if I were to call into this, it's literally going to interpret these instructions and generate its response like that. So we want this to be as robust as possible. The first thing that you can do when constructing your prompts for voice agents is define the role. And essentially what this is the personality or overall persona that this AI agent is trying to adopt. So we can say something like the following. You are John, a voice AI qualification specialist for luxury property group, and I did name it James, so we should probably change that. You were James for luxury property group, a property development firm that helps clients discover and secure suitable property investment opportunities. The next thing that we can add is context. In what environment or context does this persona exist within? So we can say context, and we can say something like the following. You are making an outbound call on behalf of a luxury property group to potential buyers who have either registered their interest or appears on a prospect list. So giving some context behind why we're calling them and how we're calling them. The firm focuses on property investment opportunities. Your job is to listen more than you talk, blah, blah, blah. If they're fit, you aim to book a scoping session with a strategist at Luxury Property Group, or I'm going to create an acronym here, LPG. If they're not fit, politely disqualify and then end the call. You have access to one tool, end call, which you can use to politely terminate the call once the interaction has naturally concluded, qualified or unqualified. Next, what we'll want to add here is the task. How exactly is it meant to conduct itself from each turn of conversation, right? So here we'll define task, and I'm just going to pop out here. We'll define task, and we can say something like the following, and this is going to be quite lengthy. Your primary task is to, and we have a numbered list here. 1, warmly introduce yourself and LPG. Ask the following 5 questions verbatim in a natural conversational flow. So here we're going to say, are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now? Is this for you to live in or more as an investment? What budget range are you comfortable with? And do you have any pre-approval, so talking loans here, in place? If we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or meeting with one of our advisors? And then 3 here, based on their answers, decide whether they are qualified or unqualified. So here is our qualification criterion. Unqualified and end the call if their budget is below 500,000 or they are not looking for an investment, e.g. it's for them or their family to live in. Otherwise, we're going to proceed to book a preliminary scoping session, which will be 10 to 25 minutes. By asking for their preferred date and time for a callback. So we're not going to book in live during the call. We're going to give the liberty to our sales rep down our sales pipeline to be able to reach back out with their preferred callback time. And then we're going to capture all information as structured output data only. And then we're going to, once the outcome is clear, politely close and then use the end call tool. So here we're going to denote tool names within VAPI, and you'll see just why in a moment when we build out this tool, but take note of that. Next, what we'll want to do is give some specifics on how it's meant to achieve this task. So here we can write specifics, and we can say something like the following. So we're going to denote our condition blocks, and this is typically what I do with VAPI prompts. So check out some previous videos where I do this also, where we're denoting condition or response types with square braces and pound keys. This is a conditional block describing branching logic in the call flow based on the prospect's responses. And then we have these pointers denoting a variable block. So for example, intent to live in or invest, or any sort of variable that we're collecting user side that we can store in memory and have that pushed to a structured output schema or something of that nature. And then we're going to use a tilde to indicate approximate or flexible phrasing and things like that. We're going to say sentences in double quotes, such as, are you looking to buy soon or just exploring, must be spoken verbatim. So we want to control as best as possible our outbound sales agent to say exactly what we had set it out to say. What would be the point of creating these AI and intelligent sales systems if we can't control exactly the qualifying questions that we need to say? Otherwise, it's not going to be too effective in terms of a data observability side and having that granular insight into the conversation. However, moving on, you may only ask one question at a time, waiting for responses. If you reach an IVR, act naturally. If you reach a voicemail, leave a short professional message. If the caller has an inquiry, answer briefly. When the call is scheduled, clearly restate the date and time. Caller has a question, answer concisely, follow the script, handle objections. Do not pressure a clear no. Given your warm, professional, and empathetic nature, you listen more than you talk. Reflect back key points. And then what's really important, and I've left this out for a clear purpose, is we're going to say today is what. So with models, and whether that's OpenAI, Gemini, or anything like that, they have a knowledge cutoff date. And within the VAPI ecosystem, we don't have inbuilt the actual date and time. So if we don't have the current date and time, it's going to make scheduling that callback pretty much impossible. We're going to have no reference point of what, for instance, if a user says, oh, can you call me back next Tuesday? We have no idea what date that is because an LLM has a knowledge cutoff date. So here we're going to load in now if you're in UTC, or if you want to be really specific on what time zone you're in, you can do something like this. So we can say now, and then we'll give the specific date time format in which we should have this relayed, and then Australia, Sydney, so this inner time zone sort of thing. So that's how specifics work. And again, to reiterate, how should we specifically achieve this task? So moving on, what do we do now? Now we really want to define exactly how it should conduct itself in achieving said task step by step in terms of the conversation. Here is a list of steps that it has to achieve during conversation from start to end of the call. And this is going to be the longest. So I'm just going to walk you through, and prompts are going to be left in the AVN, the AI Voice Network community. So step one, we have opening and rapport. Greet the prospect and introduce yourself. Hi, this is, and we had James there. James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today? And then we're going to say, noticed you reached out regarding and we'll see here again, the instance of these double curly braces. So dynamic variable reached out regarding a property. So if I just jump back over to our intent and contact form capture here, we had property interest here, and we have a drop down here, and this could be different from page to page, obviously. But here we're denoting property based on the choice of the user here. So we could say, noticed you reach out regarding a penthouse, a residence, or both. So bringing in some more personalization here to the call, which is really valuable when it comes to making this agent as powerful as it can possibly be. Moving on. And I'm just calling to understand where you're at and see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. The second conversational flow or step in this conversation is to confirm interest in talking further. Do you have a quick minute to run through now? A couple of quick questions. If yes, so bringing back in these conversational blocks that we denoted in specifics here. If yes, we're going to proceed to step 3. So now asking those qualifying criteria. If busy or no time now, offer to reschedule a callback. If not interested, thank them for their time. Mark is not interested and use that end call. So we're seeing this tool being popped up quite frequently here. But moving on to really the crux of the system here. Question 1. So starting with step 3 here is our first qualifying question. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now? Listen carefully and capture buying timeline as structured data. And we're going to collect some structured data end of call to be able to categorize and send that back to a database. So I'll teach you how to set that up in just a moment. But just note these pointers are going to be captured as structured data that we're going to collect end of call based on conversation type and what the user had said during that conversation. Okay, step 4 is asking that second qualifying question. So are we going to live in it, or is it going to be an investment? And then we're going to say, if response type is for them to live in themselves, we're going to politely disqualify, give an example here, and then we're going to set the qualification status to unqualified owner occupier, and then use the end call. If it's more of an investment or open to investment, we're going to proceed to step 5, a budget and pre-approval qualification question. And here we're going to ask verbatim, noting this verbatim intonation here, what budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place? We're going to capture budget at minimum, budget maximum here, or single budget if they state a single figure. If they have pre-approval, we're going to mark true, false, or unknown. If budget is clearly under 500 grand, we're going to politely disqualify again, similar to what we had here. Okay, step 6 is ask call willingness. So if we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or meeting with one of our advisors? If yes, go to 7. We just want to make sure these are mapped up correctly. If no, and we want to change these also just really quickly, ensuring these condition blocks are correct. If no, we're going to, again, mark as disqualified essentially here. And then moving on, we are going to book in that preliminary scoping session. So the next step is to book in that 10 to 25 meeting scoping session, obviously, where we're going to ask for their preferred callback time by saying what day and time usually works best for a quick call, capturing date preference in ISO date string, callback time preference in local time string, and then duration is going to be that 10 to 25, right? So for an example here, great. So we'll have one of our strategists give you a call on XYZ at XYZ for a quick 25-minute preliminary scoping session. Does that sound good? And then finally, our section 8 is going to be how we close that call. So step by step, 1 through 8, in terms of conversational steps on how to conduct this conversation. So what do we do now in terms of a prompt? Well, what works best with prompts is if after we've defined how it should conduct itself, we give it some examples on what that actually sounds like when it comes to user responses and what the agent says. So the next section of our prompt is going to be quite a lengthy sort of section with 2 types of example conversations. So here, I'm just going to paste in what we had here. We have example conversations, questioned John, and in this case, I changed the name, James. So you, the agent, and then response as the prospect. Example 1 is if they were qualified and booked. So we have a big example of that type of conversation, and then setting the structured data. And then we have example 2, an unqualified or owner occupier in this case, what that conversation looks like, and then again, how it should set its structured data. And then finally, what we're going to do is denote some objection handling scenarios. So with any AI sales agent, there's obviously going to be some objections when it comes to outbound calling, right? So how should we approach some of these common objections that we may or may not encounter, and what should the agent respond with? So next we can add a second point, so objection handling, and we're going to give some if-o sort of objection format. So remember back up here we had our specifics, so condition, and here we use if-r, which basically denotes if the response type is equal to XYZ. Here we're going to be using if-o, so if objection is not interested, we'll say this. If I'm not looking at investment, just somewhere to live, we'll say this. My budget is under 500 grand. We'll say that. I'm too busy right now. We'll say that. Why are you calling me? We'll say that. Okay. So mapping out some of the objections that we may or may not encounter during calling. And it's important here to continuously add to these objection types as you test and iterate over your agent from call to call. Now, finally, we have What I like to add to the end of each prompt is this beginning section. So setting where we're at and what that looks like, and to disambiguate what I just said, we'll say something like, you are now making an outbound call on behalf of LPG to a prospect. Someone who may or may not be suitable has just answered the phone. Stay warm, blah, blah, blah. Remind it of its goals. Start the conversation now. Wow. That is a robust prompt if I've ever seen one. Again, prompt is going to be within the AI voice network. Otherwise, we've walked through this whole prompt during this video right now. Okay, we're going to update that. We're going to publish up in the top right-hand corner, skip and publish. Cool, cool, cool. Now, the next thing we'll want to set is our voice configuration. So what voice do we want to use? I think I'm going to leave it as VAPI, but just to note, we have a bunch of voice providers from 11 Labs, Rhyme, OpenAI, DeepGram. For now, I'm going to leave it as VAPI. Actually, scrap that. We're going to go with 11 Labs. They're some of my favorite. And let's do Pain. And we're going to change the model to Flash V2. Very lightweight, not much latency associated with this model. And then additional configuration. We have some things such as stability, clarity, speed, style, exaggeration, and so forth. What we're going to do here is disable the background office sounds. So by default with 11 Labs, it'll be set to default, which has some ambient background sounds, which I think sounds a bit unprofessional. It sounds like a call center, okay? Transcriber, this is very important. So if we don't accurately identify what the user has said, our LLM is going to give poor responses. For now, VAPI have set the default to Flux General English. Some of the best transcription models out there. We've, of course, got 11 Labs' Scribe variants, although we're up to Scribe V2 with 11 Labs, a very, very good transcriber. But for now, we're going to leave as DeepGram Flux. And then here we have our key terms glossary, where you can add additional key terms, perhaps property specific acronyms that may or may not be said during conversation that you want to pick up transcription side. But for now, we're just going to leave that. We're going to leave all these settings as a matter of fact. Here we have tools, which we're going to add in just a moment. We have predefined functions, which we're not going to touch, as well as custom functions. We have summary, success evaluation, structured data, and structured output. So we would use structured outputs here if we had specific data points and wanted to get real granular with it. But for now, we're just going to use this structured data. And this, we're going to give a prompt. Okay, so what does this prompt look like? We'll say something like the following: structured output data. For each completed call, provide structured output only in a schema similar to the following. We're not going to leave the name and number in there. We're going to collect buying timeline, intent to live, budget min max, has pre-approval, property type, interest, location interest, advisor meeting opt-in, callback date and time, qualification status, and disqualification reason. So now that we have a bit of a prompt in there, let's add those properties. So the first one, we can just copy buying timeline, the timeline they are willing to buy within, and then we're going to add a property, and we can just copy these, right? Intent to live or invest. So we can say whether the user wants to live in the property or is an investor, and then we can name this enum, right? And we'll add an enum value. So live and then invest. So an enum value is essentially, it can only pick these two values for the intent, live or invest type there. And then we'll say budget minimum. So minimum budget. And then we're going to add another property, and this is going to be budget max. Right, and we're going to say maximum budget, and then we're going to add another property, which is going to be, we had also budget single as well in there that we want to add. So budget single figure for their budget. And then now we'll jump into has pre-approval. If yes, true. If no, false, or pre-approval. And we're going to make this a Boolean. So true or false. And then let's do property type, interest. Let's delete that actually. Don't worry about that. Location, let's delete. Advisor, meeting opt-in. Let's copy that. We'll also make this a Boolean. We'll say if the user agreed to a meeting, true, else false. We'll add another property, and that's going to be callback date. The date of the agreed call back in ISO date string. And then here we have callback time preference. And you'll note why this is going to be important in just a sec. I want to be extensive as possible here. And here, let's just copy this, the time string types there. And then we'll have qualification status. And here we have some enum values as well that we'll have to copy. The qualification status of the caller. And here we're going to add is enum. And then we're going to add these types, right? So qualified and booked. And then we have unqualified owner occupied. So they want to live in the property. And then we have unqualified budget. And then we have interested, no meeting. And then we have not interested. So those that'll end the call. And then finally, I know there's a lot here, but we're building out a full production ready system here. No stone unturned. And then we have unqualified reason. The reason why the user was unqualified. That can be a string value as well. Okay, let's go ahead and publish. Skip and publish. Now we have a full-blown agent mapped out. The last thing we'll want to do, guys, is where do we send this data to post-call? And of course, connecting a number, which I'm going to walk through step by step as well. Okay, let's go down to voicemail detection first, and we'll turn that on. Use VAPI recommended. And then we'll want to do messaging. Server settings, where are we going to send this data to post-call? Well, I know where we could probably put it. We could put it alongside where data is being sent into for call distribution in the first place. So we can add another webhook. We'll make this post request, and we'll do end of call as the path, right? And we'll respond immediately. We'll say production URL here. We'll just copy that. Let's jot that just under our workflow here. Head back over to VAPI. We're going to copy that in. And the server messages, we only want to leave this end of call report. We don't want anything like function call, hang notifications, speech updates, status updates. We really just want that end of call report. So we're going to publish that one, and we're good to go, I think. All we have to do is test this now, but I just want to test directly from our form. And to do that, we need to connect this up with a phone number. Okay. Over in the phone numbers tab, this will allow us to import a number by a variety of different methods. So if I go up to the top here and hit create phone number, we'll see we can have a bunch of options here, free VAPI number, and this will allow you to have up to 10 free US phone numbers only for inbound support. You can only make 10 outbound calls a day if you're using one of these. So that's not ideal when we have to make perhaps hundreds of outbound calls a day. We have a free VAPI SIP. So if you want to use a SIP trunk, we have Twilio as one of the easiest. Vonage, Telnex, and bring your own SIP trunk number. Today, we're going to use Twilio, and I'm going to show you how to buy a number over in Twilio as well. So the full rundown today, guys, leaving absolutely no stone unturned. This is crazy. So let's go over to Twilio. If you don't already have an account, go ahead and sign up to console.twilio.com. When you have an account, locate under phone numbers, manage by a number. Here we have hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of numbers that we can procure quite easily. US numbers are infamously easy to get your hands on. As you can see, there's no address requirement. So typically when you're buying international numbers, Italian, Spanish, French, you name it, any European number, Australian number, New Zealand numbers, whatever, there is going to be some sort of documentation required on your behalf that you need to submit to Twilio so that they can take that to a local carrier and have your number approved, and then they will distribute that number to you to use freely. The US, not so much. Okay, so what we're going to do is choose any one of these numbers. Let's go with this local number. I don't even know what state that is. Let me know in the comments, but we're going to hit buy. And you'll see here to send SMSs and multimedia messaging, you'll need A2P10DLC registration, which is pretty easy. In one of my previous videos, I go through this as well. But for now, let's go ahead and buy that number. And you'll see, bang, just like that, I have a number. I'm actually going to copy this while we have it here. Head back over to VAPI and paste in that number. Now what we need is our Twilio account SID and Twilio authentication token. How do you even get that? So let's go to configure our number, and really how you grab these tokens is over on your console page, the home page. When this loads and stops being slow, you can just go up to the top here, or Twilio home or account dashboard. When this loads, you'll want to scroll down to account info and you'll see account SID auth token. And those are the values that you're going to paste in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once you've done that, your number will be loaded into your dashboard here. Let's just refresh to allow that to populate. And just like that, we have our number here. Now, what we want to take note of here are two things. And these are going to be the last two components on how we make an outbound call with VAPI to, well, using our qualification agent. And that we're going to need the phone number ID as well as our assistant ID. What do I mean by this? Well, let's head back over to our N8N flow. Our top webhook, so remember, this is the one where we're submitting our details from. So we submit our name, we submit our phone number as the two sort of important informations, as well as property interest here. So when we submit this, that's going to land in our webhook. Remember, we did that at the start of the video. Jonas, my number, and the property type. When we do that, we want to send this off to VAPI to use to call them. So we need to add an HTTP request node like so. The method is going to be post, and we're going to post to https://api.vapi.ai/call. We're going to send headers, and we'll send header content dash type value application /JSON. It's very typical. And then we're going to add a second header, authorization, and the value here is going to be bearer, space, our VAPI token, our API key. Okay, how do we grab that? So I'm going to go over to the VAPI dashboard. Under API keys, you'll see your private API key. I'm going to add a new key. We'll do property, and you don't have to add a new key here. I'll delete this after, and we'll create a private token, copy this key, and I'm going to jump back over to our N8N instance and paste in that key like so. Very easy. Now, the final thing that we want to add here is our body. So how do we load in the customer name, the property type, and how do we actually call that number? Well, this is what we're going to do here. So here we're going to specify using JSON, bit more familiar and easier to work with. We're going to change that to an expression, and we're going to jump over into full screen mode here. I'm just going to jot over to the side here so you can see our input from our webhook. What we're going to do is create a payload. So we're going to open these curly braces. We're going to say assistant capital ID is equal to our assistant ID. How do we grab that? Well, we're going to head back over to our assistants pane, and under James, we'll see here, copy assistant ID. That's what we're going to copy. Copy that one, head back over, and we're going to paste that in like so. Awesome. Now, the second thing we are going to want to do is load in these variables, right? So what are these variables? We have customer.name, but we also have first question property. This is going to be an assistance variable override that we can specify in here. So how do we denote that? We're going to comma, and then we're going to do assistant overrides $R, and that's going to open our object, and then we're going to do variable values with a capital V, opening that object as well. And then we have variable value property here. We'll open up quotation marks and pass in that property type. Okay. Now what we're going to do is jump down a few curly braces, comma on that bad boy, and we're going to enter. And then we're going to open up our new customer object. Remember, we had those variables, customer.name. This is where we're going to specify that. We're going to open the object. we're going to say number first. So who should we actually call? And we want to call, open quotes, this phone, comma, name. Okay. Open quotes, pass in that name. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then what we want to do is comma. And then finally, we want to pass in the phone, capital N number, ID, which we derive from our phone numbers pane, the one we had just bought and imported here, like so. Copy this ID here, pasting in, and bada bing, bada boom. We are done. So a couple important things here, customer name. So customer is our object name, and the name is the type. So is the value here. Customer.name equal to this essentially. And that's how we've denoted it here. Customer.name. So hopefully that pieces things together a bit here. And similarly, obviously we had property, which if we scroll down here, property or lowercase, we've defined here as a variable value here. So this is our schema end to end, properly formatted. It looks a bit ugly here, but that's okay. So this is our body that we're going to use to send over to VAPI. Specifically, we're going to send these assistant ID and phone number ID to VAPI along with these variables. And we're basically telling, hey, VAPI, use this assistant ID. Here is what you need. Use that phone number ID and call customer number, right? So let's go out of this one. We'll save on that one. Now, what we have here, end of call, we'll also want to connect a database, right? So before we do any demos or distribution here, we want to connect our database. So I'm going to use N8N's native data tables. So for example, we have property submissions here as our data table, and we have the following columns. Name is a string, phone string, interested string. We have qualified, Boolean, callback, qualification states, transcript, recording. So I'm going to use this table here, and here we can go data table, and we're going to insert row from that data table. And now, like, we don't have any sort of values to insert here. Now, name and phone, we're going to delete, and we're going to copy and paste this up here because we want to insert that contact when we call them in the first place. So we'll delete all the other stuff now and add name and phone to our values to insert, as well as interested. And we can delete that from the other one. And if you can see here, we can go ahead and pass in those parameters like so. Hit save on that one. And now insert row, we want to change to update, and we'll delete our inserted one. Cool. Our system is good to go. So how about we test this? So I'm getting nervous here. What if it doesn't work? Well, it will work. Okay, let's simulate end-to-end here. So I'm going to paste in my information like I would a normal lead, right? And we'll put in our phone number in E16 format, and we're going to say penthouse, and then we're going to say call me. And if everything goes right, we'll stay on this page, and we're going to get a call to my number. And let's make sure I've got my notifications turned on so we don't miss it. Check this box. So collecting consent to be called, obviously. Submit inquiry. And let's see if I get a call. We have running here. Oh, we're in.
Hi, Jonas. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Hi, this is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
Pretty good, James. How are you?
Glad to hear that. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm reaching out because we've been helping clients with property investment opportunities, and I just wanted to ask a few quick questions to see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. Do you have a quick minute now to run through a couple of quick questions?
Yeah, I do. Go ahead.
Thank you. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now?
Yeah, looking to buy within the next 3 months, I would say.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you. Is this for you to live in or more as an investment?
It's an investment property, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for confirming that. What budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place?
1 to 2 million, and I've got pre-approval.
That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. If we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or meeting with one of our advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Excellent. Thank you. The next step would be a quick preliminary scoping session, about 10 to 25 minutes. with one of our strategists to understand your situation in more detail and see what kind of opportunities might suit you. What day and time usually works best for a quick call?
Let's do next Tuesday, maybe 10 a.m. The morning usually works better for me.
Perfect. So we'll schedule a call next Tuesday at 10 a.m. for a quick 10-25-minute preliminary scoping session with one of our strategists. Does that time suit you?
Yeah, let's lock that in, man.
Great. Thank you, Jonas. We're looking forward to speaking with you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Thanks again for your time today, and have a wonderful day.
I appreciate that. We'll end that call there, guys. And now we're going to wait for that end of call report to pop through. Quite a good call, to be honest, straight off the bat. We're going to check that. We have an error there. That's fine. We expected that. And look at that, webhook. Let's debug in the editor. We know that distribution worked fine. Let's go ahead and check this out. So here, look at all this structured data. That is what we're looking for here. And this is a salesperson's dream. Okay, we've got a transcript here as well. We got everything that we wanted. So here we're going to update a row. And what we're going to do is, what should we update first and foremost? Now, if I refresh my data table here, we should have had that contact pasted in there. Look at that. So we have name and phone, interest as well. So how should we search a contact to update in the first place? Here we can search ID number or any sort of column that we have here. I want to search via the phone. So phone equal to the call we had just made, and I'm going to search that up. Customer number or call number, whatever, customer number, variable values, any of these. If the phone number equal to that, we can execute step. We can see that contact output there. If phone equal to that, then we want to check. Okay, so how do we define, well, how do we know whether that lead was qualified? Well, we can take a look at some of the structured data, right? So here we could say qualification status. If that's equal to qualified and booked or qualified, we know they're qualified and that Boolean value is going to be true. Else we'll leave unchecked, but we can't necessarily do that directly. So how do we do this? Let's just save. What we're going to do is add an if statement or if branch, and we're going to say if structured data qualification exists in the first place, because note you, not every call may get connected. If we'll say if that exists in the first place, and we'll put that, we'll copy that again, it is equal to qualified and booked, true. Else we know they're unqualified, okay? So if it's true, we're going to upsert or update a record, and we know that's going to be qualified. We're going to also paste in the callback preferences. So callback, we'll say next Tuesday at 10 a.m. And then we're going to give the transcript. But first, let's get the qualification states, which is essentially all this structured data. So we're going to say buying timeline. So we say timeline is that. And I might just open this up. And then we're going to say investment type is equal to invest. And then we're going to say budget min is equal to that. Then we're going to say budget max is equal to that 2 milli. We're going to say pre-approval. That's going to be a Boolean, true or false. True is yes. And then we're going to say advisor meeting agreement. We'll just say true. And then we have the callback time. And then we're just going to say overall state is qualified and booked. Cool. Now we're going to pass in the transcript. Some of this metadata that's also passed with this end of call report. Another great thing about VAPI here is just the extensiveness of the data that they're sending back to you. There's everything from confidence level on how words were transcribed to higher level things such as transcripts and things like that. The only problem is it's hard to find. So we're just going to search for that transcript. Here we go. Pause that in like so. And then we're going to say recording, stereo recording URL. Now, if I were to execute step, you'll see output is success. And we've upserted or appended that row on a true branch. And if I go back into my data table, refresh that call that we just had, every detail associated with that. And what I had said is populated here. We can see callback next Tuesday at 10 a.m. We can see the transcript from start to finish. Look at that. We can see the qualification states. Perfect. And then we can have a recording URL, which we can check out what went wrong during this call. Perhaps we need to say this word differently or something like that. That really helps the sales team members or managers of this AI sales system have a lot more control. Now, of course, N8N is something you're not probably going to use in your business operations. It's going to be something like HubSpot, Salesforce, but the concepts remain the same. All we're doing here is updating contact property types and values. All right. So what do we have to do now? Let's go ahead and check for this false path. If they're not qualified, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. We're going to come down the false branch. And remember, if they're not qualified, we're not going to check that. Some of these data values may exist, some not. So we're going to leave that as is. All right. So we're going to save that. And there we have it. The system is done end to end. What I might do is change that voice so we can test with, a different voice, do some last tests end to end, and we're good to go. That was very, very extensive. So I'm going to go ahead and change this voice really quickly and make sure everything's good to go. Okay, voice has changed. Let's go ahead and submit our details. Bang. Email address. Could be whatever. And then phone number. Property type. Residence. Clanker. Something like that. Call me. Probably a bit more appropriate. Okay, I agree to be contacted regarding this property. Now, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead to my phone. Let's open this up and we'll go to my LinkedIn page, for example. So we'll submit that inquiry. Look at that. We've come in. Beauty, let's answer that.
Hi, Jonas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. What's up?
Hi, Jonas. This is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
Yeah, pretty good, man. You sound a bit slow. Let's end that call. Terrible voice I've changed to. So let's go ahead and check something else. All right. So we just used pain. I don't want to speak to someone that's slow. Outbound calls, we're asking for permission for the user to let us stay on the line. So we want to be quick. We want to be fast. So I'm going to go ahead and search for another voice here. Okay, we changed the voice. Let's go ahead and resubmit, putting in our details. This can be whatever we want it to be, just for testing purposes. But remember, a lead's going to pop on your website, whatever business website. Look at this. We have Luxury Property Group. Nice little picture here of the property we're developing, the 2026 collection. Exclusive off-plan luxury residences. A user's going to have a browse around. We see this copy here, premium location, architectural excellence, luxury amenities, register your interest. Now, our job as the salespeople behind luxury is to call these submitted interested leads and qualify them. Are they tire kickers? Are they actually qualified to invest in some property like this? Okay, so let's go ahead, submit, and hopefully the voice I changed to was quite good. Let's go ahead and submit our inquiry here.
Hi, Jonas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Hi, Jonas. This is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, James. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm reaching out because we help clients with property investment opportunities. And I just wanted to quickly ask a few questions to see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. Do you have a quick minute now?
Yeah, I got a quick minute, man.
Great. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now?
Yeah, looking to buy soon, probably within the next month or so.
Got it. That's helpful to know. Is this for you to live in or more as an investment?
It'll be an investment property, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. What budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place?
Yeah, so we're looking at probably 1 to 2 million, and yeah, I got pre-approval. That's no worries.
That's excellent, Jonas. Thank you for sharing. If we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or a meeting with one of our advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Come across your website, was just looking to get in contact with someone to jump on a call, perhaps. Yeah.
That's perfect. We can absolutely help with that. The next step is a quick preliminary scoping session, about 10 to 25 minutes, with one of our strategists to understand your situation in more detail and explore suitable opportunities. What day and time would usually work best for a quick call?
Let's do you have like next Wednesday, 10 a.m.?
Next Wednesday at 10 a.m. works perfectly. I'll lock that in for the preliminary scoping session with one of our strategists. They'll give you a call then, to go over everything in detail. Just to confirm, next Wednesday, 10 a.m. for a 25-minute quick strategy call.
Yep.
Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds perfect, man. And what was your name again? Sorry.
It's James. Really appreciate your time today, Jonas. We're looking forward to chatting with you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hope you have a great rest of the day and call.
All right. Thanks, man. You have a good one. So bang, there we go. If I jump over to our data tables, we had our old submissions here. We can see our executions there have run quite nicely, that call. And then the ends call there. Looks like it worked perfectly. So let's go ahead and refresh this. I cleared the old records, or I should have been cleared. But yeah, we can see here, we have residence is that new one here. So this was delete that one. So we can see residence qualified next Wednesday at 10 a.m. The transcript is in there, the timeline, the recording, and then we had those qualification states all in there as well. Okay. Now, there's one thing I actually quickly forgot about, and that was the end call tool. You'll notice if you were attuned to that, it said end call. That's because we don't even have a tool there. So one thing I forgot here. Let's go ahead and create new tool within VAPI. So if you want to just jump back over there, we'll create new tool, and this is very easy. We'll do new tool, end call. Use this when it's time to end the call. Very simple. We'll go ahead and save on that one. Jumping back to our assistant, tools, end call tool, publish, skip and publish. And then let's jump back over to our page and we'll test again. So we'll put in our contact information. We'll just give myself a new name so it looks different in the record. And then we'll actually delete this record because the numbers are going to be the same. So it's going to create two records. So we'll delete. Then we're going to jump back over to here. Penthouse, call me. Now we want to be an unqualified lead here, and then we'll be another qualified lead. So I'm going to go ahead as an interested prospect here. I'm interested in this penthouse, but I don't have any money. We're going to submit our inquiry here on their website, and we're going to consent, submit that inquiry, and we're going to get a call in just a second. Here comes that call.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Hi, this is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
I am pretty good. What's this about, man?
Thank you for asking, Sam. I'm reaching out because we specialize in helping clients with the property investment opportunities, and I just wanted to ask a few quick questions to see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. Do you have a quick minute now to run through these questions?
Yeah, I do. I was actually interested in the penthouse you guys were offering in the 2026 collection.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Sam. Let me start with the first question. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now?
Man, I just hit a crazy crypto bull run, so I'm looking to buy within the next day.
That's exciting, Sam. The next question I have is this for you to live in or more as an investment?
Yeah, it's for me to live in. I need to live in luxury now that I hit it big with crypto, bro.
Thanks for sharing that, Sam. At the moment, we're specifically focused on helping clients with property investments rather than owner-occupied homes. I don't want to waste your time, so I'll leave it there for now. If your situation changes and you're looking at investment options.
Why?
Thanks for sharing that, Sam. At the moment, we're specifically focused on helping clients with property investments rather than owner-occupied homes. I don't want to waste your time, so I'll leave it there for now. If your situation changes and you're looking at investment options, we'd be happy to chat. Thanks again for your time today, and best of luck with your new luxury plan. Take care.
All right. And you can see it ended that call fine. So didn't continue down the qualification flow, disqualified me, and then ended that call. So now let's do one final test of our luxury property groups 2026 penthouse offering here. We're an interested lead. We're going to come down, register our interest. Let's do, my name is Rick. Let's do my email, phone number. We're obviously interested in that penthouse. Call me ASAP. Agree to be contact. I'm looking for that penthouse. I got a bunch of money. Bang. Within a second, we're being contacted. Ready to be qualified.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, bro. I can hear you.
Great. Hi, this is James calling from Luxury Property Group. How are you today?
Yeah, pretty good. I was expecting your call. You're quite fast.
I'm glad to hear that, and I appreciate you taking the time. I'm here to ask a few quick questions to understand your needs better and see if it makes sense to connect you with one of our strategists. Do you have a quick minute now?
Yeah, I got a few minutes.
Perfect. Are you looking to buy soon or just exploring options right now?
Yeah, looking to buy pretty soon, within the next 1 to 2 months, I would say.
Got it. Thanks. Is this for you to live in or more as an investment?
It's actually going to be one of my investment properties, yeah.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. What budget range are you comfortable with, and do you have any pre-approval in place?
Looking at 1 to 2 million, I do have pre-approval, yeah.
That sounds great. If we find a good match, are you open to a quick call or meeting with one of our advisors?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely open to having a quick call. Definitely want to check this out for sure.
Perfect. The next step is a quick preliminary scoping session, about 10 to 25 minutes with one of our strategists. What day and time usually works best for a quick call?
Probably Thursdays, 10 to 12, I would say.
Great. Let's schedule the session for next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Does that suit you?
Yeah, let's run through that.
Great. We'll have one of our strategists give you a call next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. for a quick 25-minute preliminary scoping session. Thank you again for your time, Rick, and we look forward to speaking with you then. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So we're going to end that call. What a great call. I'm a qualified buyer. Now, my sales team can come behind that, call that following Thursday, book us in, and hopefully secure that investment in this luxury 2026 penthouse property. AI generated this as well. It looks pretty real. Now, if I jump back over to our data table, just to ensure everything is as planned, we'll see we had Rick come back in for that next. Now, if I jump back here to our data table, we're back in next Thursday at 10:30, qualified. We have the transcript. Look at that. Qualification states, maximum observability here, and the recording URL. That is it for today. We've built out an outbound AI sales agent for a property developer. This is huge for new off-plan sort of selling, as well as existing, perhaps listing agent and things like that. Plenty of applications here, and I left no stone unturned when it comes to building these AI outbound sales agents. Really, really good stuff here. And after a call, I'm looking to purchase this now. I'm sold. That voice was great. Very, very good stuff. Anyway, guys, that's it. All right, guys, that is it for today. If you enjoyed this one, please leave a like and comment below. And if you're looking to stay ahead of the AI voice curve, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Or if you're a serious builder looking to build and sell AI voice systems like the one in this video, check out the link in the description. I'm sure you'll find that interesting. But without further ado, I'll see you next video.